In the third act, his mask was kind of giving Iron Man a little bit. Like when he was flying, there was when in this era of comic book movies in the past, you start seeing similarities, even though you don't want to. So at one point, I was like, "Oh, I'm seeing Iron Man, especially when the mask was half on, half off." That reminded me of Civil War, I believe, when he had the fight with Captain America.
I literally was just watching that like right before we started this.
Welcome back. I'm Grown Folks Talking. Your host CK sees it. We're here with Shrelle, and we're going to be doing a complete spoiler review of the new film Blue Beetle. It stars Shola Mataduena. He plays Jaime Reyes. George Lopez is in this film, and some other folks. Again, this movie is about Jaime Reyes suddenly finds himself in the possession of an ancient relic of alien biotechnology called the Scarab. And the Scarab chooses Jaime to be its symbiotic host. He's bestowed with a credible suit of armor that is capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny. As he becomes a superhero, Blue Beetle. I originally didn't know anything about Blue Beetle. I was talking to a coworker who was familiar with the DC character, but not Jaime's reign. He was more familiar with Ted as the Blue Beetle. It was directed by Manuel Soto, who's a former Austinite. Shrelle, spoilers. Give me your thoughts going into this movie, expectations, etc.
So honestly and truthfully, I'm gonna just be completely honest. When I initially saw the trailer before the pre-screening, before the Franklins, before anything, because I'm always looking for new trailers. Like that's what I do. I'm always, YouTube new trailers, new movies coming out, always. So I was like, we don't need another bug. We don't need another bug superhero. That's what I initially thought. I'm not even going to front.
Mm-hmm.
But I was surprisingly outdone. Like it's not another bug movie. It didn't give that. It didn't give what I thought it was going to give. It's about family. They made the Blue Beetle is just the symbol. I felt like it wasn't who he was.
It was just a part of him. It was just one part of him, but the other part was full family. So it opens with him coming down out of he's coming back home from college, and the family greets him at the airport. So happy that he's graduated, but we find out that the family has been struggling, and they have to, I believe, sell. They're going to lose their business. Things are really dire for the family, but they still want to support him in all his endeavors. And then he feels bad because they kept all this from him, which I'm learning just in life. That's kind of what families do. They keep the bad stuff away, and you're oblivious to what's going on, what's really happening with your loved ones. And only when they are reluctant to tell you that so and so is sick, or we're going to lose the house, or we're going to lose the job. I've lost my job, and they let you go on your life. And so I love how that very much realistic dynamic was played out in the film. I always enjoy just in general when there's realistic moments in superhero movies, or just kind of any movie, pretty much, when there are moments that this would happen in real life, but because it's a movie, we have to have these extenuating circumstances and drama to build a story. So that caught me off guard, and I said, okay, this is a great jumping off point. So what was different about this film, or this superhero film, is usually the person who is a superhero, something happens to them, they're by themselves, and no one knows about it except for maybe one person, but generally they have secret identity from everybody. What did you think about this twist where the Scarab enters his body at the house with all of them there?
That was my favorite part, because it's like, okay, we're going to tackle this as a family, even though it was the sister's fault that in this position because she was the one that didn't listen. I was like, okay, they're gonna tackle this as a family. Like in Black Panther, we see that, you know, that family unit, that culture unit, but it's not explain how they tackle it as a family for real, because we see it in Black Panther, but it's different in this one.
Well, in Black Panther, it was expected. Like the first one, he was expected to take the throne, and it was only when Killmonger said that, you know, I have a right as well to be a part of Wakanda and be a Black Panther. So it was expected. For this one, complete accident. He was just supposed to hold the thing and not open the box, but that's not what happened. And how it had little aspects of horror in the fact that the Scarab entered his body. And the roof off, everybody, like, it was horrible, a little bit horrific to see how the symbiote, how he became a host to the symbiote. But it was also funny because they was cracking jokes on that baby hard, like a real family would. You in a dire situation, but these jokes, we got to get them off. So the comedy, we talked about that in the review, the comedy was on point pretty much beginning to end, which I loved.
Yes, and I kind of feel like, I'm assuming this was not something that the writers were thinking of, but how the Beetle had to choose who it wanted to be. That was the same concept for Aragon. I don't know if you've seen Aragon. It was a movie. Aragon? It came out, I was like 6-7 years old. It was a movie. It was a book based on a book about a dragon and dragon eggs, and the dragon eggs will only crack if it gets in the hands of someone it likes.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of felt like I felt that going too. I don't know. That's kind of what I referenced when I saw that scene. But yeah, that with him, and then it went like, did it go up the like for your imagination?
Exactly.
It was like, yes, and then the George Lopez, him screaming and falling, and everybody screaming. Everyone, I feel like, had a hot take of them screaming. Everybody.
Absolutely. But it was all realistic because you like, what is this? You done hit the roof, broke the table, all of this in a matter of like 2 minutes or so. But what was even cooler was after all that happened, he's transformed. They're cleaning up the mess, because that's what family does. Like cleaning up the mess, fixing up everything, trying to get back to a sense of normalcy. So I was like, cool. Another aspect that was realistic that I thought was cool was how, you know, he had to get a regular job, even though he's super smart. He had to get a regular job to help his family out, and the dynamic of them working at this ritzy place. The Latin community is familiar with the service industry jobs at these high-end hotels, restaurants, etc. So it looked very realistic in that tone. So cool, just cool. And the joke Milagro makes when she's having the gum, and she's funny. Like I said in the review, everyone had scenes that they stole, and that was her, and she has some later.
Yes.
Super cool. George Lopez, great.
Like, who else you could have cast for that? There's not a single body else that you could have casted to make that more perfect.
Yeah, totally. He's already a comedian, but the hair was crazy.
It was different for him.
Definitely. It
was good.
Totally. I didn't see George Lopez. I saw Uncle Rudy, who's sleeping on the couch, who's super smart, but still kind of off, and just saying crazy stuff, but you love him, but he always got your back. Like he always, conspiracy theories, he's got books on him, but if you need him, he will be there. He was hilarious. Another person who was hilarious, who it's toward the third act, was Grandma Nana.
Oh, Abuelita.
Yes, yes. She was
literally. I don't know if you've seen My Block, but have you seen that?
I know about it, but I haven't seen it.
But their Abuelita was similar to her. So I was like, yes, like I've seen like a girl. So I was really living for that.
Yeah, totally. It was a slow roll into her personality. Like she came across, just very mijo, very much motherly, and then come to find out she got a past and she knows how to handle a weapon. So I thought that was a nice surprise and super cool. Like you said, definitely this wasn't Blue Beetle, it was like Blue Beetle and family.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. You were very sad about the dad dying, which I noted in my notes that it was kind of foreshadowed because they were talking about what's your journey in life, where are you supposed to be. He was very loving towards Jaime, which I love to see that they had a solid, loving relationship. I like to see that on film. Two men who this is my son. I care for my son, and I'm not afraid to be emotional with my son. So I thought that was a lovely portrayal. And he talked about, I've been living this life, but I still don't know what my purpose is. You over here in the theater.
I was literally crying. Like, no, there were tears running down it don't take much for me. I am not surprised it happened, but I didn't want that. Like, I was enjoying the comedy. I was enjoying the action. I didn't want that emotion. I didn't, but it was appropriate. It was appropriate.
It's appropriate. It made sense. It was foreshadowed because earlier in the film, he talked about having a heart condition, and then it wasn't mentioned until the scene where they take the Blue Beetle, take Jaime away, that clutched his heart and he was out of there. Because I liked the movie so much, I was watching it. It's been a long time since I enjoyed myself. Even though it's 2 hours, I didn't feel the time. I love moments of social commentary that they brought up were when the police came to get Jaime, or something about they had to hide. They couldn't be arrested because someone mentioned, you don't have papers. You've been here, living here for 20 some odd years, but yet and still you don't have papers. So I thought that was a little bit of sprinkle of social commentary when it comes to the Latinx community and the situation surrounding them when it comes to being U.S. citizens. I thought that was very apropos. And at one point, George Lopez, they were in the lair and they talked about the girl, Jessica Ford, what's that baby's name? Wait for it. She says alien, and George Lopez says, I don't like that term. That was a joke, but it was also wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah, I liked how they talked about it, but it wasn't overbearing. Like, it wasn't too much. It just was subtle, like it makes people think,
Right.
Right. And I feel like they evenly distributed everything. I feel like it wasn't too much of anything.
Like, what do you mean? Like too much comedy, too much action?
I don't feel like it was too much comedy. I don't feel like it was too much action. I don't feel like it was too many sad scenes. I don't feel like it was too many, because there was in the times of the movies, I was screaming at the screen. I was like, go, 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 go. Like, I feel like there wasn't too much of anything.
Yeah. Nice. It was balanced. I could definitely see or say it was very much balanced. Susan Sarandon, Jenny Cord was a character I couldn't think of. Susan Sarandon, she was the bad guy. The only note that I noticed was we're in the third act. We know who the bad guy is, and he has a dramatic turn that caught me off guard. Where comic books have certain beats they have to follow. So the origin story, the drama, the problem, and then the happy ending.
Yeah.
beating the bad guy. And when the bad guy we learned that there's a reason behind why he did what he did. Like he had a traumatic childhood. He lost his mom. I was like, oh, hints of forcing the child labor. They done blew up his mama. He's like, oh, you supposed to be the bad guy now. I'm feeling sorry for you. And then you get to the center of all that, which was Susan Sarandon's character. So that was the only where I was all ready to hate this dude because he didn't really talk much. He'd been the bad guy this whole time. And then we get those last moments where you understand. You understand why.
Yeah, and you know what? I thought of a point. I don't think if it was ever, and this is the only note I have that I wrote, but I did miss the scene. I don't think it was ever said in the film that the dude lost his memory. Like he didn't know what was going on. I don't remember that being a part of
the bad guy.
Yeah. So that's the only thing where I was a little bit confused. Like, okay, he couldn't remember anything. I didn't realize that was a part of his character until that ending scene.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, they didn't give us much. I just kind of inferred that he was experimented on. But yeah, his memory, well, he was experimenting on, so maybe his memory got jumbled or whatever. But it kind of didn't matter because it was all leading up to that moment where you realize why he was doing what he was doing and following the lady. But yeah. Also, I would say in the third act, his mask was kind of giving Iron Man a little bit. Like when he was flying, when in this era of comic book movies in the past, you start seeing similarities, even though you don't want to. So at one point, I was like, oh, I'm seeing Iron Man, especially when the mask was half on, half off. That reminded me of Civil War, I believe, when he had the fight with Captain America.
I literally was just watching that like right before we started this. I'm not joking.
And then when his dad died, they went to, I said, that's the ancestral plane of Black Panther. Slightly different, but your dad's in the plane, he's dead, but giving you knowledge to move on. I was like, okay. But it was fun. I didn't mind it. I was just like, how else? I didn't mind it.
But overall, I feel like it was a really good film. I feel like I said, I feel like the cast and the crew was hungry. They like, we about to do something big. And I feel like this is a big year for Latinx movies with the Hot Cheeto movie. That was really
hot.
Yes. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, like the whole idea of having comic book heroes in movie form where it's not the same old, where it's the white guy with the mask on or the woman. We're seeing people of color. We saw it with Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. Of course, we saw it with Black Panther. We saw a little bit of Black Panther 2, and now we're seeing it with Blue Beetle, where it's all Latinx. One of the knocks against Black Panther 2 was that you had black people, African American community had Black Panther, the first one, all African American crew. But in Black Panther 2, if I was of Latin descent or Latinx, I'd be like, so I don't get my solo movie.
Yeah.
Everybody else, the Asian community got a solo movie. I don't get my solo movie. I got to parlay with Black Panther. So this full Latinx cast all the way around, and I think they did a great job representing the Latin community in a realistic tone. Like the stuff that we talked about with social commentary and just the family aspect of it all was, like I said, I think this is going to be a movement, not just a movie.
Same.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see where they go with this, because I thought, spoilers, y'all, I thought Superman was going to have a cameo, because in Black Adam, he had a cameo. And they mentioned Superman's name twice, just like in past, like, you know, it was before he transitioned into the Blue Beetle. So I thought, you know, okay, he's gonna have a little cameo. So, but there wasn't one. It was just the girl's dad on
on
the
the thing, who was Ted Cord, who was the original Blue Beetle.
Yes. So I'm curious to see where this is gonna go. When the director came on the show, he mentioned in the interview how he wants Blue Beetle it's gonna be on the same plane as the Flash, and everyone right there. So I'm interested to see, are we gonna let him and Blue Beetle have its own #2 movie, or are we gonna start introducing other characters?
Other superheroes, yeah, we'll see. I know the little that I know of DC, they are like, they let go of Henry Cavill as Superman, and they're looking for another one, and they're trying to kind of restart that whole character.
Yeah, so, I feel like they just kind of these characters. Not to make this about DC, but was one Batman blowing out like he didn't want to be Batman no more. They got another Batman, which was the old Batman, Beetlejuice. I can't think of his name right now. Yes, he's Batman, and then the Justice League, we don't know where that's going. Aquaman was supposed to been out, but that case with Johnny Depp's ex and everything. So I just hope Blue Beetle gets to ride out with his name before they start introducing.
Yeah, I would have want, and I read like just a headline that Wonder Woman 3 got scrapped. Wonder Woman 2 was not good at all, so I'm not mad about that. So they're in the middle of a lot of transition, and I'm thinking how solid and tight this movie is. I wanted to breathe because it's a new character, a new superhero that you've not seen before. It's not the part of the Justice League, so that's helpful because people don't have any reference to other Blue Beetles on TV. So I think they should, when it comes out, if it does numbers, just kind of that'll be a great palate cleanser to be like, okay, DC can put out a good film with a good fun character and his family, whatever. Now let's see what other superheroes we can bring up, and maybe the route they choose or think about choosing is not the big 3, like other smaller characters, because you don't have as much canon and baggage with those other characters, and you can kind of do what you want and create something that's cool, like what you see in this film. Yeah. On your ratings, how would you stack this film?
I'm gonna go with what you said was the head on the nail. A 9 movies in general, a 10 for DC.
Same. So that's all we got. When it's good, we ain't got much to say. Go see it. I think you'll have a good time. Kids 12 and up, unless your kids are used to a little bit of violence, a little bit of horror, they'll have a good time. Thanks, Sherelle.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, tell a friend.
Yes.
We'll catch you later.
Peace.